Hi everyone. For today's book review, we're going to be checking out Train Wrecks for Fun and Profit. And the subtitle is important here because this is not a thin book about train disasters. This is about that brief moment in time when in the United States it was fashionable to buy a couple of old locomotives, fill a race course with spectators, and then have the locomotives run full speed into each other. That was a form of entertainment at the turn of the century, and considering we enjoy watching monster trucks crush cars, we watch rallies and hope for a series of collisions, I can understand the appeal of wanting to see machines smash each other and blow up. This book looks at around 15 documented cases where an exhibition was put on and some of the adventures and misadventures of those spectacles. What is interesting is that one individual, a certain Joseph Connolly, came up with a format that he patented, and then, like a circus ringmaster, he basically brought on his own crew, and for over a series of 20 odd years he would basically run these collisions. You would find old locomotives, later on some old carriages packed with flammable material, a sponsor. Believe it or not, sometimes even railways would actually sponsor people getting onto their railways to go and see engines getting destroyed. Then you would find an adequate race course, preferably a race course, that would have enough open field and so that you could lay a track so that the locomotives can come straight ahead and smash each other at the middle. And as experience would reveal, you also need to make sure that you had adequate space, because when two very heavy steam engines smash into each other and go boom, lots of debris and shrapnel will fly everywhere. The first instance that gave Joseph Connolly the idea to patent this form of entertainment led to people getting severely injured. The photographer who captured the event on camera lost an eye because a bolt went straight into the eye. Some spectators fell out of trees, not because of the actual accident, but because they were either too excited or too drunk. It's a fascinating insight into behaviors and what people considered entertainment back at the turn of the century. Joseph Connolly became so well known as the maestro of head-on train collisions that he became known as Head-on Joe. Of the 15 instances that are detailed in this book, you have roughly 3 pages of text dedicated to the organization, any highlights, lowlights, anything that happened during that particular collision. And where possible, some photos have been included. A lot of these are either newspaper accounts or scans or photocopies of old newspaper photos. There are a few instances where there are some dramatic glass plate negative photos that have been used, and they are quite spectacular. In other instances, there are blurry photos of trains in the midst of their physical collisions and destructions. It ends with an account of two trains smashing into each other for a 1950s Western movie, noting that explosives were used to make the effect a little more dramatic. There's some cursory information about individual locos that were used, and interestingly enough, with some of these collisions, the engines were actually repaired and put back into service. Others, though, were completely totaled. You can see up here in the corner, as I mentioned before, the mix of photos and texts. The book is not big. It's I mean, it's relatively large, but it's not a thick book at all. And it's certainly a fascinating topic, and one that could do with more studies, especially now that a lot more local archives and photos and accounts have been digitized. Potentially there's more accounts out there about instances such as these train wrecks that could be worth documenting, recording, and expanding, building on this book by F.A. Schmidt. If you are interested in steam locomotives, if you are interested in collisions, if you are interested in turn-of-the-century industrial entertainment, then this book will appeal to you. It is certainly one of the more curious topics of railroading and locomotive history, and an insight into how people thought, regarded industrial technology, and what they considered to be entertainment. And when you read their accounts, you do wonder about the collective intelligence of people wanting to be as close as possible when the trains would smash. And again, I think we as a species haven't changed that much, because when buildings are to be imploded, there's always people wanting to get as close to the safety limit as possible, not realizing that safety limits are there to protect people for their safety. Anyway, if you like locomotives, if you like reading about some of the more curious aspects of human behavior at the turn of the century, then do check this book out. It is an interesting account of a very curious form of entertainment. For me, this is a three captain's hats. So do enjoy.